Hey, if you think that success in real estate is just about the hustle, the grind, the getting in and doing things, I'm going to tell you what, there's more to it than that, right? So what we're going to go through today is the 5 non-negotiables to succeed as a real estate agent. And the reason, why we're going through this is so that you don't have the burnout. You have it so you can have the success that you're looking for and get there. I've now been an agent for 11 years. I've built teams. I've helped manage teams. I run a brokerage. And I coach agents every single day on what the concepts are, how they get forward, and how they're moving in the right direction. So let's jump into these 5 non-negotiables of you being a good agent and the agent that you want to be. To kind of preface this though, right? If you are wanting to get into real estate, then these are 5 things that you need to seriously think about and say, hey, how can I improve and focus on these? If you are an existing agent and wanting to really improve your game, same thing. Keep this going, get it going in the right spot, and say, where am I winning and where am I succeeding in these, or what do I need to do better on? But let's jump on in. So the first reason. So the first one is actually it might make sense to a lot of you. The first one is, what is your clear reason why you're doing this, right? So a lot of you have probably read the book of Start With Why. You've gone through and thought, okay, hey, the why of what I'm doing this is going to drive you through the hard times, get you there, get you where you need. Because the reality is, real estate is simple, not easy. There are hard things that happen. You're having conversations, you're working with people. You have it where ultimately you need to kind of be in that spot, that right mind frame, that when something happens, you have enough of a reason that you're going through. This can be a lot of reasons. This could be just money, right? Usually, I would say that income alone is not going to be sufficient for you to drive forward and kind of continue to keep that motivation. But for some people, I've seen it work. It could be family. It could be something, of a circumstance. It could be that you need to get out of debt. It could be that you want to help more people, right? It could be that you really want to grow and push yourself to the next level. There's a lot of reasons of what this could look like and why you're getting into it. The reason why this is number 1 is this is at first internal thought, because the reality is you have to work inside out, right? We attract and build upon where we're at, what we're doing, and who we are is then what's going to give us the success and building upon that. So why are you doing this? What is your clear reason? That's number 1. What is your clear reason why you're doing real estate? There's a lot of reasons out there, and ultimately, that's going to be your first step to say, hey, what does this look like? How do we do this in the right spot and move forward? Number 2, I love this one. This one right here, honestly, for me over the years has been this really big metric on improving and growing. And in the Keller Williams ecosystem, it is a big thing. It's called the 6 personal perspectives. So the 6 personal perspectives, I personally think, are number 2 of improving and growing, because if you don't understand how to grow and what perspective that you need to have to become the best version of yourself, then you will cap out. You will hit ceilings of achievement. You will hit roadblocks. You will hit, and you will even with these, but these are your path to overcome and get to that next step. So I'm not going to have time to go into each of them in depth, but I wanted to go through what these 6 personal perspectives were so that you can start to get a grasp and see kind of where you're at. And I like these because the 6 personal perspectives in my mind are a circle. It is going through the process, continuing to refine, grow, and become that best self that you can. So here they are. The first one is commitment to self-mastery. Having that firm belief that you're going to work towards self-mastery, right? We've all gone, and hopefully you've gotten to that point that you've mastered a skill. You put in the hours, you put in the effort, you put in the work, and you have got into that point where you feel like you've mastered something, right? We can all use the example of driving a car. We can all use the examples where we're getting really good at something, and it is basically done at mastery where you don't have to think about it. It is done well. It is done really well, right? What does that look like? The commitment to self-mastery is an important piece, because if you're continually looking at saying, hey, have I mastered this? Have I improved? Have I grown? Then you're not going to get into that trap that I see a lot of experienced agents get into, where they stop feeling like they need to grow and learn. They kind of have what they need, they plateau, they get to a point where it really is like the whole mindset changes, right? So commitment to self-mastery is an important one for you to say, where am I at? What do I need to do? And, who am I? And am I willing to commit to this growth mindset of what's next, right? This next one for the 6 personal perspective is commitment. So commit to the 80-20 principle. So the 80-20 principle, a lot of you have probably heard this, but there's the whole aspect of 80% of what we do gives us 20% of the results, and vice versa, 20% of what we do gives us 80% of our results. So the reality of what commitment to the 80-20 principle is are you focused on the right things, the important things, the things that are actually going to get you results, right? The things that are going to add to that and be there. And that for different things is going to be different aspects, but it's usually going to be what is that dollar producing activity that is the most important, that you can't leverage out, that if you forget to do, like then, you have other things or your business dries up, right? The next step, so we have commit to mastery, then we have commit to the 80-20 principle. Then we're going to have the next one, which is move from E to P. So E to P is a very powerful principle, but it's entrepreneur to being purposeful. The reason why this is so important is you probably got into this game or are getting into this game because you think, hey, I'm pretty entrepreneurial. I want to build my own business. I want to do this, which is a huge, powerful skill. And we all have certain levels of ceilings of achievement that we're going to get. And of course, everyone has a different ceiling of achievement. The thing is, if you don't go from the entrepreneurial to being purposeful and building a business plan around what you're looking for, what you're wanting to do, going and seeing what other people do, systems and models, and having it so that you can be more purposeful on what you're doing, then you are going to be hitting that ceiling of achievement and going through a cycle of really then saying, oh, can I do this? What's having all of those limiting belief aspects come into your life where you're going to have having those extra challenges. Moving to purposeful is where you get breakthroughs. That's where you can go through and say, hey, this is what someone else has done. This is a model. This is a system. I can apply this into my life and be purposeful about what I'm doing to get to the next level. So move from E to P, right? So then that's 3 of them. Commitment to self-mastery, commit to the 80-20 principle, move from E to P. And the next one, number 4, is make being learning-based a foundation of your action plan. So the reality is you need to make sure that you are learning-based, right? If you're learning-based and you're willing to continue to learn, then it's going to fuel this cycle of saying, okay, I now know I have to go from E to P and I have to learn what that's going to look like. What are those skills? What are those systems? What are those models? Those things that I need to implement into my business from where I'm at to help me get to that next level, right? So having that be a big part of your plan and what do I need to do is going to help you with this cycle of getting to that next level, right? So that's number 4. So it's commitment to self-mastery, commitment to the 80-20 principle, moving from E to P, and then going from, hey, making learning based be that foundation of your action plan. The next step, number 5, is remove your limiting beliefs. So this right here is very much, we all have them, right? We all have, I've heard it be called your drunk monkey on your shoulder, right? The devil on your shoulder or whatever, of limiting beliefs or things that we tell ourselves that aren't real. They're not true, right? They're limiting beliefs and they're stopping us from really getting to that next level. And we need to remove those. We need to have that dialogue. We need to have that process to remove them. Right? There's a lot of different ways to do that. There's a lot of habits that you can work on to kind of help yourself remove those limiting beliefs and overcome those. And it's a process, right? A lot of times that's just where you have to make that mindset, go in the right spot and kind of test it, right? Show yourself that that is not true. Because a lot of times from our past habits is how we built something, or what we've been told is how we built this belief, these limiting beliefs that aren't reality, right? So that's number 5. So you have 1, commitment to self-mastery, 2, commit to the 80-20 principle, 3, E to P, right? 4, be learning-based, 5, removing those limiting beliefs, and 6, be accountable. This is a huge one and really closes up the circle, because when you've been learning, you're knowing, and you're focusing on the right things, you're putting the systems and models to help you get to that next level, being more purposeful in what you're doing. And then you're going to that next spot of learning to get there and removing those limiting beliefs. Now it's being actionable that you're doing those and, looking and seeing and how did it all go, right? But that's where this circle and this cycle comes into play, where you can really grow and become the best version of yourself, which in real estate, you work for yourself and you have to be that person that everybody else is going to want to hire. They're going to want to be in your right spot, right? That they're going to want to get advice from. So you need to improve yourself and continually go through this game to be that best version of yourself. And really, this is where when you're thinking about all of this and what you're doing in your head, it all compounds to make it where you're going to get that life and that vision that you want, right? So, right, first one was having your why. What are you doing? Where are you wanting that to be at? And going from there. The second one is the 6 personal perspectives of keeping it where you're continually improving and doing that inner work. Making sure that you're, growing and kind of having that be there. So now we're going to go to step 3, right? And this is where a lot of this goes into play of helping you really get there. And I would say that this is your SOI +1. This right here is your lead generation, your growth engine. I am a strong believer that your sphere of influence, SOI, is and should be your number 1 lead generation source, right? You need to go add value, be there for people's lives, and communicate with them in a way that you will have business and have return business. If that right there is, in my belief, the foundation of your lead generation strategy. And at the same time, then you need that +1 of that intentional way that you're growing your database. You're growing the people that are in your life. This is a relationship game. You're not getting into this just to help the random person here and there. You're getting in this industry to be that person and be in a relationship with the people around you to help them with the biggest purchase, biggest sell of their life, right? These are the moments that help people to achieve really like some of their biggest things that are going to help them in the future, help them be, who they are, mold what their family's like, having it so that they're in that spot that they can really have what they're looking for, right? We all could talk about the houses and homes that we grew up in and how much that, of course, changed us and made us who we are. So we're setting it up that we're helping people in real estate to really be in that same spot. So number 3 is SOI +1. And like I said, this is your growth engine. This is your ability to really keep things going, keep it moving, helping people out, deepening those relationships, and being there for those people in that way. And we can go into this of how do you get into SOI, and one of the terms that I'll be using, but we'll go into in more depth in the times, the 36 touch. Another one like that right there will help you with your business. Lots of awesome ways for that. And then that +1, there's a lot of ways that you can do this. And this is where you got to pick something that gets you excited, right? That is something that you can get your arms around and say, hey, I want to do this. If this is open houses, if this is cold calls, if this is door knocking, if this right here is doing events, or right, there's a lot of ways that you can have that +1 to grow your database, grow your relationships, put yourself out there. And in that way, that's how you're going to hit the goals and dreams that you're looking for, right? SOI +1, right? How do you make that happen? What does that look like? More leads does not always mean better business, right? You need to deepen those relationships. At the same time, that's where with this aspect of building and having the people in your life that you're looking for and wanting to have around you is where you're going to really get what you need and help the people that you need, right? Zig Ziglar says, you know, you can get anything that you want as long as you help enough people, right? And that's paraphrased awesome though, of saying, how do you help enough people? And I always tell people, right? Consistency beats intensity, right? Consistency of what you're doing, how you're helping people, showing up for people is going to be better than the random intensity time of showing up here and there. So that's number 3, right? Number 3, SOI +1. That's going to really help you get in that spot. Number 4, this right here is fundamental, right? But the 4th one is freedom comes from structure. This is your simple daily structure. Having it so that you can know that on a daily basis, on a consistent basis, you are doing what you need to, right? You have lead generation every day. You're talking to people every day. Don't be a secret agent. Have that so that part is in there and important in that way. And if you stay consistent, have it so your schedule mirrors and matches what you're expecting, right? Having that so that part goes in that right way, because the structure creates the freedom. And a lot of times being too chaotic causes some more burnout. So you don't need a perfect schedule, right? You just need a rhythm and those habits, because your habits are what are going to build your time over what you're doing, right? So boiling down to what is that daily rhythm that you're going to commit to, that you're going to be a part of, that you're going to build as a habit in what you're wanting to do next. Okay, last one, number 5. This is where it's coming in, and it's really a long-term view. So what is your long-term vision, your long-term view of what you're going to do in this? Real estate is not a once and done. It's not a flash in the pan kind of aspect. This is something where, because it's relationship driven, you going into this knowing, hey, this is going to be something that you're doing for a long time, right? You might have already, if you're, an experienced agent, you might have already been doing it for a while. And how do you refine it to make your life even more of what you're looking for, right? If you're just getting into it, a lot of times year 1 is learning, growing, having those right mentors around you, having those right different systems and models. Year 2 is a lot of times stabilizing and getting a lot of what you were now committed to and those habits of that daily structure, right? In the right spot, doing what you're supposed to. And then 3+ is a lot of times getting the leverage that you need in order to build not only doing some more, but also the life that you're wanting, so that you're not feeling like it's that, okay, what 80 hours a week am I working, right? Having it so you're really building that and having the long-term view, building it in a way that you're really going to be there in that light, right? Because that's the reality, is most agents quit right before business starts working, right? A lot of people will stop right before they hit that moment where it's very beneficial for them in the right spot and those kind of things. So really for this one, thinking long term, think, okay, 5 years, 10 years, right? Not just what am I going to do this month? What are you going to build, and how are you going to build this so that it's something that you're proud of and that really sets you up in that right way to be excited and kind of be there. So if you're new or if you're rebuilding and want help to think through the right way to do this, make sure to subscribe, right? We're going to be going through, and my whole goal is to help you really advance your career, get you in the right spot, and get you where you want to go faster with us than you could have without us, right? I'm going to break each of these down. We're going to go into this a lot more over the next bit, but I wanted to give you this information, and I'm excited to see what you build with it. So, see you guys next time.